Star Wars The Clone Wars is pretty well known for being cancelled after Season 5 and having the lost missions be released as Season 6. Then the series was revived for a 7th season where 12 episodes were released. However, there were a lot more other planned episodes for Season 6 and beyond for The Clone Wars. Starting with Season 6, there were supposed to be 3 more arcs as the season was meant to have 22 episodes instead of just 13. To start, there was going to be an Ahsoka arc where she explores the Coruscant underworld. Unlike the 4 episodes that we got in Season 7, this arc was not going to have 2 drug dealers who were dropped on their heads as small children even be in it. Instead, the arc was meant to have Ahsoka become more street smart, deal with leaving the Jedi Order, and she discovers a Sith temple beneath the Jedi Temple, which would connect to another planned arc later on. There was also going to be a 4-episode Dark Disciple arc which followed Quinlan Vos and Ventress partnering up to kill Count Dooku. This arc would start off with Dooku committing a massacre on the planet Mandalore, and after the Jedi Council witnesses the atrocity, they make a morally questionable decision which was to assassinate Count Dooku. Vos was chosen to do the assassination despite being against the decision, and he meets up with Ventress in the Coruscant underworld. These episodes were titled Lethal Alliance, The Mission, Conspirators, and Dark Disciple, and they had Vos fall to the dark side and become captured by Dooku. Ventress enlists the support of several bounty hunters including Boba Fett, C-21, Highsinger, and Embo for a mission to rescue Quinlan, but they fail, however. The season was meant to close with an arc centered around Darth Maul after the Mandalorian Civil War. The 4 episodes were titled Enemy of My Enemy, A Tale of Two Apprentices, Proxy War, and Showdown on Dathomir. The plot of a captured Maul who was tortured by Count Dooku about information would be freed by the Shadow Collective and other allies. Maul escapes and heads to Zanbar to command the Death Watch army, but is followed by General Grievous and his droids. They battle Maul and the Mandalorians, where they are soon overwhelmed by the droids, and Maul flees and confers with Mother Talzin, who is revealed to be his biological mother and plots to draw out Sidious by capturing Dooku and Grievous. This scheme works and Talzin is restored to her physical form, but is then killed by General Grievous. Although Maul escapes with a company of loyal Mandalorians, the Shadow Collective falls apart due to the conflict with Sidious, and the Hutts, Pikes, and Black Sun all abandon Maul. This arc then was released as a comic book. The Season 7 that we got had 12 episodes from 3 different arcs. However, the original Season 7 was meant to have 5 arcs, the first being the Crystal Crisis, where Grievous wanted to buy a Kyber crystal on Utapau, and this arc is like 95% complete on YouTube from a bunch of other channels, so I won't go into details on the plot for those 4 episodes. Additionally, the Bad Batch arc was originally supposed to be episodes 5 through 12 of Season 7, and there are several major differences between the rough animation version and the version that was released on Disney+. Most notable being that the original episodes had Crosshair speculate that Echo was a traitor to the Republic, which the Disney version had the Bad Batch believe Echo was dead instead, and the other major difference is the Techno Union's Decimator droid was demonstrated to Anakin by melting a local, but that aspect was removed for the Disney Plus version. Dark Disciple's second arc came in Season 7, and the 4 episodes were titled Saving Vos Part 1, Saving Vos Part 2, Traitor, and The Path. In these episodes, Ventress became an alcoholic and called the Jedi Council to help free Vos, where Kenobi, Skywalker, Windu, and the man himself, Commander Cody, frees Quinlan Vos. However, Vos is determined to discover the identity of Sidious and falls further to the dark side, where his actions killed 2 Jedi and many clones. Arc 170s are finally properly used by the Republic to bomb a Separatist base, and Vos finally surrenders to the Jedi Council and takes responsibilities for his actions and those who died. The second half of the Ahsoka arc has her return to the Jedi and having dealt with Ahsoka helping the Jedi Order and traveling beneath the Jedi Temple to the Sith Temple. The arc begins with Tano returning to warn the Jedi of a threat that she discovered in the underworld of Coruscant. Obi-Wan and Anakin enlist her help in rescuing Yoda, who is held captive at the Sith Temple. Also, at some point during the arc, Ahsoka would protect the Jedi Holocron Vault from Darth Sidious, who would shoot her with Force lightning through the Vault's doors. The rest of the arc, however, was unfinished and not really well known. Next was a planned Bounty Hunters arc, which saw Cad Bane take a mentorship role to Boba Fett as they do various jobs. The two were going to be teamed up for a rescue mission on Tatooine where Tusken Raiders had kidnapped a child. It would emphasize Boba's and Bane's relationship to one another as Cad Bane had known Jango Fett. During this arc, Boba would don his green armor for the first time and other bounty hunters would appear. During the final episode, Cad Bane and other bounty hunters ended up destroying an insurrection incited by Fett. To finish it, Fett and Bane became engaged in a standoff duel, which would have resulted in Fett getting a dent in his helmet and Bane being killed. Additionally, there was also supposed to be an arc where R2-D2 and his astromech gang get together and fight some separatists again. Season 8 was meant to be the last season of the Clone Wars in the later development of the series. It was planned to have a full season of 6 arcs and 22 episodes. Several aspects of this season would be reused, such as the Siege of Mandalore, but others would be completely scrapped as of 2024, such as the Yuuzhan Vong arc. But to be fair, very little of this season was animated or even in production. To start off, the Bad Batch was supposed to return for another 4-episode arc, and this time they go to Kashyyyk. In the arc, the clones would fight against Babware Venomar, a Trandoshan separatist leader, and the Trandoshans and droids are allied together against the Wookiees and Republic and fight in the jungles of Kashyyyk. Much of this arc, however, would be salvaged for a single episode of the Bad Batch in Season 2, but in the Bad Batch series, the separatists are replaced by the Empire, and it is only 1 episode instead of 4. Another arc was going to be centered around Rex and R2-D2 and be a kind of Top Gun-styled Clone Wars arc. The arc would start off very lightheartedly with Rex and R2-D2 being epic pilots as the ground and naval forces of the Republic have a very heated rivalry. They would crash land and be stranded together on one of the moons of Ryloth, where most of the episodes would take place. Rex and R2-D2 are joined by a reprogrammed super battle droid that they would grow attached to. At some point, Rex would be injured and the B2 droid would save their lives. There was also a planned arc involving the extragalactic Yuuzhan Vong from the expanded universe. This arc was reportedly the arc that George Lucas was most excited about for Season 8, and the Vong would have some changes to their original Legends lore. For example, the Vong would be having very little connection to the Force instead of being completely cut off. They would be from the deep, unknown regions instead of being from another galaxy as well. Anyway, the arc would see the Yuuzhan Vong aboard their scout ship where they perform an abduction trying to assess the strength of the Republic and to see what the Jedi are after observing a battle between the Republic and the Separatists. There was also going to be some kind of cover-up by Palpatine after the battle and suggestions that Palpatine knew about the Vong and wants to keep knowledge of them secret. The next arc would return to the planet Mon Cala, where Padme Amidala and Anakin Skywalker would return to the planet and meet with King Lee Char. During the story, they would have found out that the Quarren leader, No Sarai, was murdered and Senator Tikes was appointed as provisional leader of the Quarren. Padme would take this opportunity to gain Quarren support for the removal of Chancellor Palpatine from office, but is unable to do so. The arc is centered around finding the murderer and the beginnings of people seeing that Palpatine is having too much unlimited power as he has long outlasted his term in office. Another planned arc was one where the Zillo Beast returns. It's not 100% known whether or not this arc would take place in Season 8 or not, but I have to put it here since Season 7 already had its full planned episodes. Anyway, nothing about this arc was really planned out other than the fact that it would take place. The Bad Batch series saw a return of the Zillo Beast under different circumstances, but I believe that it's safe to say that a few of those aspects would likely be part of this Season 8 arc, such as the Zillo Beast having been cloned. The final arc of Season 8 was going to be the Siege of Mandalore, but it would have several key differences from the Siege of Mandalore that we got in Season 7 in Disney+. To start off, Ahsoka had already rejoined the Jedi Order and now has command of the 332nd Battalion, which has their own armor painted fully orange instead of just being helmets orange, and Captain Rex and a detachment of 501st Troopers are also sent to Mandalore with Ahsoka as well, judging from the concept art. But most sources claim that Season 8 was meant to be the last season of the Clone Wars, but some other sources pointed to a few concepts for Season 9 that were made before it was decided that Season 8 would be the end of the series. Season 9's plans are mostly unknown or were barely developed. One idea that was floated was a 3-episode arc where Rex and Jesse investigate a new unit of clones after one of them claimed that it never rained on Kamino. They then discover that this alternate Kamino was an outer rim planet called Spitari, with another cloning facility that uses Sparty cloning and grows clones within 1 year. These clones are also not loyal to the same Republic, and as Rex and Jesse try to determine how many clones within the GIR are Sparty clones, Sidious becomes aware of the situation. This arc was barely even a concept, but I find it super interesting and I wonder how Palpatine would have covered it up. But I do think that it's possible that some part of this arc inspired the abandoned Kaminoan cloning facility on the planet Boravio in Season 1 of The Bad Batch, where the Bad Batch finds a bunch of abandoned cloning areas. The only arc of Season 9 that was more developed was a 3-episode Grievous-centered arc that had Dooku testing the General and question his loyalties. The arc would show some internal struggles of General Grievous and end with him kidnapping Chancellor Palpatine on Coruscant and conclude the Clone Wars series with the battle over Coruscant, as seen in the opening of Revenge of the Sith. However, this never came to be, as Season 8 had previously been determined to be the end of the series, and then it was cut down to Season 7 with Disney. And that is all of the planned Clone Wars episodes that never were. Did you know about all of these arcs before this video? Are there any more which I left out? Which arc would you have most liked to see in the Clone Wars? Let me know in the comments below, and thank you for watching.